What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mommy Confession. We are so excited to be back today. My name is Angel, also known as That Chick Angel. I am one of the hosts, but finally, I have both of my other co-hosts here. I will let them introduce themselves, starting from right beneath me. Dee, tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Donora Walcott. I wish I could see your faces, but I get these lovely faces instead. I'm okay.
And Q, tell them who you are.
What's up, everybody? I'm Quinn Walters. Y'all know what it is.
You know what it is. If this is your first time tuning into Mommy Confessions, first of all, thank you so much. You about to be blessed because that's what we do. We bless each other's lives. So congratulations to you. So what you can do while you're here, though, is if you're listening to this on some sort of podcast platform, please make sure you click the follow or subscribe button, and make sure you also rate and review us. It makes us more discoverable. But if you're on Facebook or YouTube watching this, please, again, subscribe, click the thumbs up button, all those things so you can be notified when we upload new episodes. Now, you guys, I am so excited to have our guest on today. She decided to grace us and share her story because her story is blessing so many women who are suffering in silence. So I can't wait till we jump into it. But ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for none other than Simone Shepherd.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so excited to be on the show. I just love you ladies. And I love you guys separately so much, but together it's just so much mommy love. I just love the energy.
Yes.
Love you,
Yes.
girl.
We love you back.
Yes, we love you. We love you. We love you. We will jump more into who Simone is and all the wonderful things that she does because she's a boss, she's a hustler, she's all those things. Okay. But first, we start off every episode with a confession. And as you all know, in Mommy Confessions, we keep it 100, we keep it real, we keep it honest, we keep it raw. So I will start off with my confession. And my confession today is I hate going vegan. That's what we're doing now. However, my colon loves it. I feel like a newborn. Like
Angel.
I swear to you, this food is like, thanks for having me. Ta-ta for now. It's like, it's happening. Eat and then release. It's happening so quick. And I know that's great for me, but at the same time, this having to come up with something to eat ordeal is pissing me off on a regular. And people like Tabitha Brown make it seem so easy. Oh, you just chop up some chicken and chop, and there you go, voila. And I'm sitting here eating tortilla chips like until I figure out something else. I'm gonna be eating.
Foolish.
Oh, I can't stand it. I can't. Though that's my mommy confession. I hate being vegan, but my poop loves it. What about you, Dee?
I guess so. My confession is that I feel like I've kind of given up on working out and trying to get fit during this here COVID-19. I've been, asking the Lord for some more voiceover work. So I can just eat what I want and hang out in my house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah, I get it. Sis.
We are not judging you, okay?
At all.
Do you?
Quantifa, what's your confession?
Oh gosh. Well, at this point, my confession is I think I'm cute because I can do my own braids now. And I don't know if anybody gonna get any more money up out of me. Okay.
Come on.
I'm just gonna call a spade. Okay. I think I have a technique going here.
Yes.
It's cheap as hell. And I think I'm cute. So
You are cute.
I mean,
you are so cute.
I mean, I think she cute. So we just go rock it.
I love it.
We just gonna rock it.
That is the blessing of quarantine. You be finding all the skills.
All
Yes.
All of them. You be out there. I can do a whole nother paint coat on my car. I don't even have to go.
Not the musicians is gonna be out of work working with me.
Right.
Sorry, y'all. I love y'all.
They look great.
But I done figured it out. Thank you. I done figured it out. So the code has been cracked.
Okay. So Simone, what is your confession?
My confession is I'm just over hair, makeup, nails, all of it. Like, I'm just trying to figure out when this is all said and done, if I want to get back to any of it. And it's not, and this is why it's a confession, because it's less to do with quarantine. Quarantine started it. And now just my priorities feel very different. Just at the state of the world, especially what we're going through as a community. As it just don't seem like it matters anymore. And I'm very there. I'm very like, it took a lot for me to put on lip gloss and eyebrows. Like, I don't even know if I know how to do a full face anymore. That's my confession. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to be a bad bitch like this, because this,
hey, and you are.
And you are.
You
are.
Look at you. I say you. This is what it's gonna be. You know, I just feel like my priorities are different.
So you about to hit us with the Alicia Keys, be making everybody feel some type of way. Just like, but
yes, I've been on that.
I woke up like that.
But I think that, you know, I haven't made it a part of like my brand. I've been, you know, going natural in a lot of ways for a long time, but it just seems like it's just not what I need to spend 20, 30 hour on. I'm not there. I'm not saying anybody else gotta be, I'm just not there.
You're not there. I get it. Listen, and I'm finally trying to go in reverse, even though I was telling, who was I telling? Was it was either Quinn? I think it was Quinn who's on here. I tried to hurry put on some makeup for this, and I grabbed the wrong foundation. So it looks like I've been in the Bahamas.
Oh no, you look
I'm
good.
not this dark.
You look perfect.
Thank you. But this is not the color that I am right now. It's
right.
not.
You look amazing.
Well, you look great. I didn't even notice, because you look great.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. But so whatever your confession is, let us know wherever you're watching it in the comments. Are you going towards the Alicia Keys and just feeling like I ain't got time for this and it's not important? Are you over here like me playing in makeup like you're a 3-year-old every day?
Do you think you're a beautician?
Okay.
Quinn?
Are you
Learning how to do a fade? That's what I've been doing. Been practicing on my husband's head. It's good. I've been getting the levels.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm very proud.
Work.
He trusts you a lot.
That's love. That is love. Thank God. Well, Marcus let me cut his hair, but not to wear in public. He was just like, this is all for video, and then I'm going to shave it all off.
He won't let me go nowhere near him.
Yeah.
Nowhere near him.
Not even a little bit. So I am so really, I don't know if the world is excited, but I am really glad that we're doing this episode. I was actually in a chat group here recently, and there were about 4 people talking about their fibroids in the chat group, and just the experience they had. And I was like, oh, I'm literally about to do an episode on my podcast about it. And they were like, oh my God, this is so good, because so many women don't talk about it. And that's women. Now, when you think about women of color, we definitely know how to suffer, and don't nobody even know. We over here just still holding up a country in a pandemic, in a revolution, and just suffering all over. So when Simone, who is a huge influencer, producer, actress, writer, used her platform to talk about what she's gone through, I really was like, oh, I would love to see if she'd be on the show. I already knew the stories of my 2 sisters right here, Quinn and Donora. But when Simone decided to share her story, I was like, I think this would be a great opportunity to put it on Mommy Confessions, because I do think it's something that a lot more women are going through than are willing to talk about because they, you know, you just have feelings around it. So
Yeah.
Simone, if you wouldn't mind giving us like a kind of a little bit of a small, short synopsis of what you've gone through, and then we'll go to Quinn and then Donora, and I'll share a little bit of my own.
Right. So, the video that Angel's talking about is the video that I became very transparent with, and it was really hard for me to get to the stage that I was willing to post my story because, like you said, Black women, we suffer in silence for so long. But in 2015, I was, it was 2013, 14 is when I first found out that I was suffering from uterine fibroids. I had a bunch of different diagnoses. One said that, listen, you got them, you need a hysterectomy. I had a whole bunch of people telling me I needed surgery. And no one had a bedside manner. No one was telling me exactly what was going on with my body. It was more like, you're Black women get fibroids, you should be used to it. So that was hard for me. I went through a space where I was just like, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to try holistic routes, a bunch of different things, but I was still suffering. And then a friend, I'm sure you guys probably know her, Kia Roberts. She's an actress and also a writer. She is really great friends with Quinn. And she told me, listen, because I didn't know anybody else who was suffering with fibroids. Not one other person. I've talked to a lot of women about a lot of things, but clearly not this, right? So when Kia recommended that I talk to Quinn, I was really excited, but never thought that the conversation with Quinn would ever affect my decision about what I was going to do with my health. But when I sat down to talk to Quinn, I get emotional every time I think about Quinn telling me her story, because I know that she was really sent to me by God. Because I was just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, right? Can't trust doctors. Black women, we have a hard time with doctors. Doctors don't take our concerns serious. Not all doctors don't take our concerns as serious as they are in moments. So when Quinn told me about the long process of her having surgery with her fibroids, I knew for me that I wanted to re-examine that. I wanted to, do some more research, and I decided that this was something that I wanted to do, especially because I had just gotten into a relationship and I was bleeding all the time. I was bleeding like 21 days a month, heavy periods. And that's hard to explain. And I shared this in my video. I had just kind of hit a wall where one day I was like in this relationship with Kieran. We've been together for like a few months, and I'm like Ubering to his house, literally like 2 minutes away. And from the time I left my house to getting to his house, 2 minutes in Uber, I stood up and I was completely drenched, covered. It was embarrassing. And I've been through stuff like this before, right? But it was more embarrassing because this is a new relationship. And not only do I have to explain why I'm always bleeding, but I'm also explaining now why I am drenched in blood in front of you coming to your house. And I was tired. I was tired of hiding, and it was like finally I was forced to be exposed because I was exposed. But he supported me, and it made me go do more research. I found a doctor who was amazing. Decided to get surgery. I had 5 fibroids, and one was submucosal, which is right on the uterine lining, which was keeping me from getting pregnant. And I knew that I wanted children. It was always a desire of my heart, especially now that I've had met the man who I knew I was going to spend the rest of my life with. So I didn't want children to be off the table, not for me, not for him. And finding a doctor, I found an amazing doctor. She actually wrote a book with Kelly Rowland, and I stumbled upon her on the internet. She was amazing because the first thing she told me was, you do not need a hysterectomy. So that first thing that she said to me was, I could breathe. I think I immediately started crying in her office, and it turned into like a therapy session where she started talking to me about my options, and she started talking to me about just there was so much hope in the conversation. She gave me so many, because this is the thing, when you have fibroids, either someone's telling you to get a hysterectomy or they're telling you that you need to have babies right away or you will not be able to have them. And she didn't tell me any of those things. She said, let's get this taken care of, and you start taking care of yourself, and you, girl, we don't even need to start talking about rushing until you're 42. So, so it took not only the strain, the pressure of having these tumors in my body, but it also took the pressure away, feeling like that I was, one, not going to be able to have children, and two, that I didn't have to rush to have them. So after having the surgery, the biggest thing I tell people, and I'm wrapping this up, guys, that, oh, no worries, that fibroids can come back, right? They will come back if you do not take care of yourself. So the biggest thing I did, well, the surgery was kind of like a jump start to a new lifestyle for me. I had to change my diet. I completely changed my diet. I'm only recently become vegan, but I started just eating fish, or I would eat lamb occasionally. But I started drinking alkaline water, started trying to alkaline my body, period. I started doing yoga, trying to take the stress out of my life, because people don't realize, women, period, but specifically Black women, we hold so much of our tension, so much of our pain, so much of our health in our gut. It's right there in our feminine area. So whether it starts creating tumors or whatever it may be, we have to put our health first. We, as Black women and as mothers, we put everyone else's needs before our own. So I was drinking too much coffee. I was a struggling artist, couldn't even afford to eat good foods. Didn't even know anything about eating good foods prior to finding out I had fibroids. But let me tell you this, they don't know why we get fibroids, but they do say Black women get them much bigger, much younger, and that's why we have, fertility issues. But most women, by the time that they're 70, will have some sort of uterine fibroid, about 82% of women. Wow. But if you're past your childbearing years, it doesn't even matter, right? So that's why it's important to get the information out there to Black women, because we really don't have doctors that we trust and we can go to. So we have to start counseling each other, encouraging each other, and showing each other which doctors and which treatments, whether it's holistic or surgery, whatever it is, we have to start sharing this. So that's why I was really excited to have this conversation with you ladies. Not only because one of your hosts is really the person who motivated me to start this process, but also because, as you women, you mothers, Black women, we got to spread this conversation. We have to
absolutely
change our diets, change our products, Quinn knows this. I'm really on a mission, and this is gonna be the first time I'm saying this publicly, but I'm really trying to find the best feminine health products, the best yoni oils, the best everything, whether if I have to find it or create it, to give my followers, to just give Black women, period, healthier options.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
It was already more informative. There was the stat that most women will have, 82% of women will have fibroids by the time they're, what you say, in their 70s?
That statistic is like 3 years old, so you might want to update it, but I'm sure it hasn't changed.
I was going to say, I doubt it. They don't be updating statistics that often anyways.
Right.
Stuff from 1992. And be like, man, this is what's happening. Right.
Because with Black women, a lot of us don't go to the doctors, so the statistics are probably much higher than we realize, because a lot of women
are not even getting treated.
So Quinn, share your story, please, if you don't mind.
So I had my first experience with fibroids back when I was in my mid-20s, and I didn't know what was happening. All I knew was I was having severe, heavy periods, lots of bleeding, severe cramps. I would vomit when I would come on my cycle. I would bleed for like 15 days at a time. And I had just moved to Los Angeles from Chicago. So I'm in a foreign place. I don't have any family. I don't have any health insurance. And my body is doing crazy things. So like a lot of people, I got on birth control to try to moderate my cycles. That just made it worse. So I 86 the birth control, and I just suffered. And I suffered for years. And then it got to a point where I was having like pains that it has to be labor pains, because I had a C-section. I ended up having a cesarean to deliver my daughter. So I don't actually know what it feels like to give vaginal birth, but I imagine, what's that?
They are labor pains.
They are labor pains, right? So what was happening to me at that particular time when I had my first episodes with fibroids, my cervix was dilating because it was trying to expunge a fibroid. So I didn't know what was happening to me. All I knew was I thought I was dying, and I'm vomiting. I was on Vicodin. I got into an ambulance. I went to the ER, and I was like, something is happening and I don't know what it is. And I had a nurse tell me, they gave me an exam, ultrasound, a pelvic exam, a manual pelvic, and they were like, we don't see anything. I'm like, it's something going on. Like I'm this pain is ridiculous. So they sent me home. Okay. We, again, Black women, pain. You're probably exaggerating. You're probably being dramatic. Mm-hmm. So a week later, I go to the ladies' room and I see the tumor. So that changed everything. Wow. So now I have proof that my body is doing something. So I go to a different hospital. And then it took 5 doctors to come in. One doctor came, I don't know what that is. Another doctor come in, I've never seen that before, ran out of the room. Next doctor come in, that might be a fibroid. Another doctor come in, I've never seen that. The 5th doctor, mind you, I'm on the bed bawling. I'm hysterical. I don't have any family here with me. I'm in a room by myself. And that's another thing I want to say before we get, all into it. We have to make sure we have people in the room with us that can vouch for us, that can support us, because they will turn you over and they will send you home with the quickness when you're by yourself. And they did it to me multiple times. So the 5th doctor finally comes in. She says, oh, that looks like a pedunculated fibroid tumor that's trying to basically give birth. So it's trying to come out of your body. Cool, we know what it is. All right. Okay, but since you're an artist and you don't have A1 health insurance, we have to send you home. And they sent me home with a fibroid that is trying to give birth out of my body. Wow. So I went home. The fibroid grew. Just try to imagine what I'm saying here. I'm trying not to get too graphic, but I'm being graphic. So just imagine. So it's growing. So then I prepare to move back to Chicago because I'm like, well, there's no way I can get service here. I don't have insurance. I'm going to have to go home and use my parents' insurance or whatever. Just be under some love and some care. And right before we got on the plane, my dad, who's a first responder, he recommended that I go into the hospital one last time just to make sure that all my vitals were okay to fly. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? The sound sounds like it went out.
No, you're perfect.
Okay. Okay, good. And so I went to the hospital. Mind you, flight is ready, bags are packed. We're just going to get vitals just to make sure I'm okay to fly, so I don't have any blood clots or anything on the plane. And they saw me, they checked my blood, they immediately took me into the OR. They gave me 2 pints of blood. I had to get a blood transfusion immediately. My hemoglobin was so low. My hemoglobin was at the level of what people have when they are on their deathbed, or by the time they die and they write out someone's death certificate. That's what my hemoglobin was equal to. So they performed the surgery, they removed the tumor, I'm all good. 4 years later, I'm back in the ER with 6 tumors this time. Oh, wow. And now at this point, I'm married. At this point, I'm trying to start my family, and I cannot start a family because I have 6 fibroids that are subserosal, submucosal. They're in and throughout my uterus, on top, inside, outside, inside the muscle wall lining. They were everywhere. Oh. Got the surgery, and then 10 months later, I was pregnant with Aria. So, but the journey, like the number of times that I was turned away and having those periods last for a month, it was literally to a point where I was spending so much money on pads. I was going through 6 packs of overnight pads for one cycle. 6 packs of always. It was ridiculous. It was 25 days of bleeding and then 5 days of spotting. So every day of the month I had something on. Now, I was never free. I could never wear white pants.
Yeah.
I could never just go swimming. It was not happening. And I was a newlywed and it was a mess. But in between all of that, I learned so much. And I didn't even, and I wish I could go back in time, because when I look back now, I'm like, dang, you know, I probably had some lawsuits on my hands. I probably could, you know what I mean? But I was so wrapped up in my health that I didn't even think about the legal part of it. I didn't even think about, I had a doctor tell me, well, maybe God doesn't want you to have kids. Maybe that's why you're having fibroids. Maybe God wants you to adopt. I'm sorry, ma'am. Are you God's right-hand man? Are you on the hotline? Because that ain't what my God told me. Is that what he told you?
Wow.
And I had another doctor tell me, well, you just have fibroids. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. There are people with bigger issues like cancer. These things were said to me. So by the time I got to Simone, I had all of this in my back pocket. So when we had our talk, it was so liberating for me too, to express that. I hadn't had that opportunity. And that's why I thank you to Angel, and thank you Simone and Donora for doing this, because this is so important. It's so important.
Oh my goodness. This is, the first time I ever heard you tell this story, Quinn, was at a Mocha Moms meeting. And I was just like, I hadn't heard, like, I knew that you had fibroids, and I knew like with you getting pregnant, like that was all like a strategic timing, but I didn't know like the whole story of how you were ignored and mistreated in the health system until that night when you talked about it. And it's just like, it's crazy to think how people don't want to recognize that there is a real problem with how Black people are treated in this country, when you have stuff that is just that black and white, of there is a tumor coming out of her body and you send her home. Like, that wouldn't happen to a white woman because first of all, Quinn don't ever look dirty or bummy, so they it can't be a thing of, well, oh, they just thought she was this homeless chick. No. Like, even though they deserve to be treated with dignity as well, but they would never treat a white woman that was of your same financial stature that way.
She was a young woman, and you were a young woman, and you know you're Black, so you was looking even younger. It's like they should have just taken care of you because you're a young woman. They don't even care. They don't even care,
or given options.
Or
said, you know what, you don't have insurance, but guess what? There's a clinic that takes people who don't have insurance. So is a good doctor. You can do X, Y, and Z. The idea to just turn someone away, which they still do. Like, they
still do.
Yeah. This is not changed.
No. Yeah. And had I died, because I could have died because that tumor was connected to a major artery. So had that tumor snapped on its own and just fell off on my body, I would have bled out to death. Period.
And somebody would have known what the cause was, really.
Oh, they would have known, and they would have hit it.
Exactly, that part.
I mean, they would have known. But
you have to have an advocate. That's why you have to have someone.
You have to have an advocate.
You have to. It's imperative. Like,
absolutely,
it's imperative.
And by the way, the second surgery, I just want to throw this in there. The second surgery, I had to have a cesarean to get those 6 fibroids removed. So 2 surgeries, incisions everywhere. It has been a journey. And I went the holistic route too. I was doing herbs and acupuncture and vegan and raw. I did the whole shebang. And I still suffered. It just, it's different for everybody.
Those tactics are really better after if you've gotten to the place where you need surgery and you have the type of fibroids that need surgery, then the healthy lifestyle is great after you have the surgery, because again, they can come back. But if you've already reached a certain point, you got to go get them taken. You got to get them removed.
You got to start over.
Yeah. A lot of times with, and we're about to get to you, Donora, with a lot of the healthy lifestyle changes, those are usually better as preventative than they are corrective. Like in some cases, because even like with the thing with me having alopecia, my alopecia was too far gone for me to just be like, and I'll just eat mushrooms in my hair. And like my hair was trying its best to come back, but my body was so far gone that it needed to be reset with straight up pharmaceuticals. And there's nothing, I think there is a place for Western medicine, just like there's a place for Eastern medicine. So Donora did not have fibroids, so her situation is a little bit different. But I just like mine is, but I still feel like it's something really important. Go ahead, Dee.
All women in healthcare is important. This is what we're talking about. Yeah.
All this information. So my situation is different in that it wasn't fibroids, but it was still cysts. So when I turned 18, I went to have my very first feminine checkup. So to have pap smear and like breast exam and the whole thing. And the doctor I had at the time was a woman. And so, you know, I'm 18, I'm thinking she's a lady, I'm a lady. She'll know all the things. So she does the exam. She's like, you're great. I go to spend the week with one of my best friends on the vineyard. And the second day I was there, I'm on my knees. Like this is, I think a week after this exam. I fall to my knees in pain, just collapse onto the floor, have no idea what's going on. And I end up going home, you know, the next day so that I can go to the doctor. And this is a week now. They said, you have to have emergency surgery because you have a cyst the size of a cantaloupe on your ovary. And I was like, wait a minute. But she gave the thumbs up, and then how do those things even go together? So at the beginning of college, I ended up having to stay out for a couple weeks so that, you know, I could recover and be healthy enough and strong enough to start college. And then I was walking into classes with a pillow on my stomach so that nobody would bump me. You know, just all the things you don't want to be doing going into college.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's a new life, and you're still like, I can't talk about this. It's weird. I have a pillow. It's not my. So anyway, I'm thinking, fine, it's done. I have a huge scar, but whatever. The problem is done. 3 years later, same thing happens again. So again, I have to have surgery. This one is a slightly less emergency because I kind of knew what to be looking out for. I knew like, oh, my stomach feels uncomfortable. This is a different pain than period pain. This is not gas. Let me just go get checked out. And at this point, directly after that first surgery, I got a new doctor who was a man, and it was my first male doctor. And it just so happened that he was amazing. I had been hearing from technicians who were doing my ultrasounds like, oh, I know you're young, but if you ever want to have babies, you might want to start thinking about the next. Mind you, I was 18.
Yep. That's
Wow.
In college.
You about children at 18.
A baby.
What? How? Yeah, telling a baby, if you want to have kids, you probably should start thinking about. Last thing on my mind. Luckily, I was blessed to have this doctor who was like, he liked to curse. I won't curse on this show. But he was very upset to hear that they had told such a young person to consider this thing. And he was like, I am not going to tell you anything because I'm not God. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to have or not have. But what I'm going to tell you is not to worry about it because we don't know. He was like, we're going to keep you as healthy as possible and you're going to move on with your life. And who knows what's going to happen. Those technicians don't know. So I was very blessed to have him in my life. But anyway, I have this second surgery. And in the second surgery, I had to have my left ovary completely removed. And they had to remove a good portion of my right ovary. So now I'm 21 and I'm like, I don't even have one whole ovary. So maybe kids really are out the window for me. I don't know. Luckily, I still have the same doctor as my doctor. He's like, nope, you can have a small piece of an ovary and you can still have children. So stop worrying. Again, like, just cut it out. You don't need to worry. None of these people are God who are going to be checking on you. So you do your thing. So it ended up that I constantly was going every year to get ultrasounds, or every 6 months to get ultrasounds to see what was going on. And I would get cysts that would come back sometimes. Sometimes they would disappear on their own. Sometimes they would come back and disappear. I ended up having my daughter, who is now 6, from my piece of an ovary. And I haven't really thought about the cysts that much over these years, because I was like, I had my kid, great. So then my husband and I decided we wanted to try for another child. So again, still not thinking about cysts. It just wasn't on my mind. And then we do get pregnant, but my doctor saw that there was another cyst there. And this time it was large again. So I definitely had to do a lot of going to see specialists during the pregnancy, because the type of cyst that I have can twist. They get very heavy, and so they can twist, which was what dropped me to my knees. The first one I had caused my ovary to twist. Torsion, I think is what it's called. And so throughout this whole last pregnancy, I had to constantly go and get checked up. And, any pain I would feel, I was like, oh man, it's twisting it again. So all of that to say, I still have this other cyst on my piece of an ovary. Once COVID-19 is a little bit more clear, I'm going to go in, get it checked again, because I'm going to have to, ultimately, I'm going to have another surgery. And I'm prayerful that they won't have to take the ovary, because that's, that means more hormone focus and therapies potentially. But yes, so the type of cyst I have, I thought it was gone, y'all, but it came back. It was like, oh, you're not getting rid of me yet. So, yeah, it's a journey. I will say I was very, very lucky to have that doctor, because he was, I don't know if his empathy came from the fact that he was also an artist. He actually was a ballet dancer for a long time. And so he had a different level of, a different way of communicating than many doctors I've come across. But yeah, so.
A good doctor. He was the way doctors should be.
Right,
We just
absolutely.
get conditioned to having doctors who, just don't care about us, because we're Black women, and whether you realize it or not, that's what it is. They think that we can, handle more pain.
More pain, legitimately.
They legitimately do. I just posted something on my Instagram about that. I'm a doctor speaking up about that.
Yes,
but,
I'm about to post that. I think I know there's
Uh-huh.
a whole concept in the world going around that Black people don't feel pain.
Yeah. That's why we don't have, what'd you say?
It comes from history.
It comes from
all their fake science that they did on it.
Yeah,
It's
we were the guinea pigs.
Yeah, exactly. It's how they justify putting human beings through so much pain.
Yeah.
They had to tell themselves that we didn't feel it. But we're just good at holding our pain. We suffer in silence so much. So you were blessed with a doctor the way doctors should be.
Right.
And we have to do a service to each other and really make a network so we all know how to find this. Because look, you were saved to the point where you were able to have children, right? Quinn as well. Now there are women, and I see their DMs all the time. It makes me so emotional thinking about it. Women just telling me their stories, just ever since I started talking about my fibroids, sending me these long, detailed messages. And they didn't have the opportunity to stay there. They didn't have a second, third opinion to tell them, no, a hysterectomy is not what you need. And all they're thinking is, I want to stop bleeding. I want to stop going through this pain. So this is a call. We have to say this, whether it's fibroids or cysts or whatever. It's all feminine health.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, and especially because like you don't get to choose when you go through it. So you might not be at a point where you're like, I'm done having kids. So if you need to take all this out, go ahead and take it. You might be, yes, 18 years old where you're just like, I don't even know what I want to major in college.
Right.
Telling me I have to figure out what my family plan is right now. Like you would think it. And what's also a shame is going back kind of to like both Quinn and Denora's situation is that this is not uncommon enough that doctors with degrees that are able to practice shouldn't already know what the deal is when they see it.
But you did.
That part.
Like there's no, you should be treated like an alien. It's not as if the thing you're going through is not been happening to women. Like it wasn't like Quinn was patient zero.
Right. And that's how they made me feel. When I tell you those residents were residents, maybe they never seen it, but they were running it. Oh my God, I've never seen that.
This should be fresh from their brain.
Didn't you cut a cadaver last week?
Right.
Right. Isn't this on your resume already?
Right.
There hasn't been a lot of research done into Black women's feminine health care, like not when it just like when it comes to fibroids or when it comes to endometriosis. I know that for a long time they were saying that Black women didn't even suffer from endometriosis, but we know people like Gabrielle Union and Michelle Obama had health issues. Like so many people, because they never did the research. No one made us a priority to take the documentation. So all these studies are recent because we're just now either seeing doctors getting surgeries or speaking up about it. You know, so it's just there's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done.
It is.
100%.
Just to add on to the work that needs to be done, I will say the first doctor, who was a woman who completely missed my now y'all know how the size of a cantaloupe. That's not a pebble. So she was my doctor, my mother's doctor, and my sister's doctor. And over that period of time, she screwed up with each one of us in completely different ways.
Wow.
And it was like, it's remarkable. Like, you know, after a couple years when we would talk about it, we're just like, wow, what are her issues that she really looks at Black women as,
right,
whatever happens, I guess, is what happens. Like, how do you exist that way and make up your mind to treat different patients in different ways?
In different ways.
Yeah.
And then have the audacity to speak negativity onto somebody's life. I mean, those words penetrated me. Like, I would go to my parents crying tears, like, well, they said I don't have cancer, so they can't treat me. They said I had to have a hysterectomy. They said I probably won't have kids. I should adopt. I mean, I mean, it was really bad. It was really, because you put your trust in these people. You're like, well, they went to school. They have degrees. I don't. I didn't major in this. I'm not certified. So they're right. They're right. I probably won't have kids. Yeah. And
you're desperate. You're in a desperate situation. You need them at that time.
Yeah. So my story is just, it's short. So I come from a family that suffers from fibroids. So my mother had her full hysterectomy when I was 11. My oldest sister already had hers as well. So it's something, my aunt, I think my grandmother. So it's something that I know potentially is creeping up on me. Like I'm very cautious of it, but something that I've dealt with for most of my life, I think since I've had a period, is I'm polycystic. So that means with being polycystic, I don't get the big cysts like Donora. I get little small cysts that will come if I put on too much weight, which I am a master at.
Shut up.
It causes
not a master.
Listen, honey, I could teach a degree in it. It causes my hormones to be like, so like when I talk about how hairy I get, that's because I have more male hormones flowing through me because of being polycystic. I remember going to a specialist when I was pregnant with the twins, and it was my first time ever seeing them. And so they showed me my ovaries were just covered, just in a multitude of just little bitty cysts. And they were like, and the woman was like, so instead of infertility for me, which can be a symptom, she was like, if you ever were to have your ovaries stimulated, because sometimes that's what women get done if they're trying to get pregnant and they're having fertility issues. She was like, if somebody ever did that to you, you would potentially have triplets or quadruplets. And that's kind of the reason why I ended up with twins, is because my ovaries were just like, I don't know what we're doing. There's stuff everywhere. Get rid of it. So I have always had, unless I was on birth control, I've always had irregular periods. I've never known. People are like, I track my period. I'm like, for what? I don't know when that thing's going to show up. It'll get here when it decides to.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But, and for a lot of people, when like something that a lot of Black women don't realize, especially since our community suffers from obesity, a lot of times obesity is that usually it cues it. If you allow yourself to put on too much weight, you end up polycystic, and for a lot of women it causes infertility. That's why you'll see like there are some women who are heavier or considered morbidly obese or obese that you notice are a little bit more hairier, or have like, you can tell like their body is secreting more masculine hormones than feminine, and it's because the cysts that have appeared on their ovaries. So there's just so many things that, and this is something that I didn't wait for a doctor to tell me. I'm the queen of Googling something. Yeah. So I was like, what is happening in my body? I knew I was polycystic before they showed me that I was polycystic, just because there was no reason for my periods not to be. Right? Like, I'm like, out of all these people I know, everybody can actually look at a calendar and say, I should be on my period on this week. And I'm just like, she might come this month. She might come next month. I don't know. We'll see when she shows up. I knew something wasn't right. So one thing that I feel like is really important, especially because we have to advocate up for ourselves in health as Black women, is knowing when your body is doing something that it potentially shouldn't be doing. Like, I think a lot of times we just accept what our normal is and just be like, I mean, I don't know, my body, my body just do
absolutely,
and then we can ignore a problem for so long that we get to a point where it's just like, we're now fighting for our life. And the people that are supposed to be helping us are looking at us like, sorry, I can't help you.
You waited too late.
Right. So in you all's journey with each one of the things that you all have gone through, how has that changed your relationship with your medical providers? Like, how do you now approach your own feminine health?
That's so good.
You go ahead, Simone. Yeah.
This is what I do. Like, it took me a really long time to find a doctor I trusted, and through her, because she actually the doctor who I said that I found, who wrote the book with Kelly Rowland, she actually recommended me to another doctor at UCLA. He was the number one doctor and leading doctor, surgeon in fibroids in the world. He's a teaching doctor, so he was teaching other people.
Simone, before you keep going, because I know I'm going to get this question, do you mind sharing both of their names? Because I know that's going to be the number one question in my comments.
Yes. So the doctor who actually did my surgery, his name is Dr. William Parker. And the other doctor who I met who is still currently my OBGYN, her name is Tristan Bickman.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Incredible doctors who I can honestly say approach healthcare from like on a personal basis and don't look at your color unless it means that I need to pay attention to the fact that you're Black, because it'll help me treat you. Like, those are the only reason why. So I really do love them. But I took a more hands-on approach with my healthcare. So before I had fibroids, I was like, I don't trust the doctors. I don't get sick. I got allergies. That's it. I'm good. That's how I looked at my life. And even heavy periods became something that was regular and became my norm. I thought it was normal. So now, not only do I actively see seek good healthcare providers, but I also eat healthier. I have healthier lifestyle choices. I make healthier lifestyle choices. And the reason why that's so important that I think that we should talk about is because, just like you said, Black women, we have a lot of underlying health issues. And I think that's a big reason why we were, as a community, affected by COVID and a lot of different things, because we don't realize that the Western diet really is not set up for your body. Just because we live here does not mean that the majority of your DNA is not from a location where they traditionally ate different things, a lot of things that reduce anti-inflammatory, like whether it's turmeric or a lot of things that were really regular in people's diets. Well, here, milk, cheese, all those things that cause a bunch of inflammation, like Dr. Sebi would say, mucus in your body, cause all these underlying health issues, whether it's cysts, whether it's fibroids, whether it's all these different things. So we have to take a more holistic approach to our lifestyles and how we treat our bodies on a, like just from head to toe, not just for ourselves, but for our daughters, for our children, period. That's what we have to do. Because like, you ladies have children and it's great. So you have to teach them how not to end up in the same position. Like if someone would have told me when I was 15 that pads and tampons that I use have carcinogens in them and prolonged use only makes problems, can create cysts and tumors. If someone would have told me in college that getting on birth control would make me have a hormone imbalance that would later cause me issues. So now you're adding birth control, you're adding pads and tampons, you're adding products that you're putting in your body. I was eating McDonald's and stuff in college and all that stuff then. All those things are a bunch of carcinogens. So one of them by themselves is already terrible. Now you layer all those things.
All
so
of those things.
Why the skincare products we're using, everything we have to be careful of.
Now, real quick, I want you to expound upon it. Then Donora and Quinn, y'all can answer this question. You said choosing good healthcare providers. Yeah. How are you going about? Like, are you doing references? Are you checking Yelp? What are you doing?
So I am checking references. I am checking Yelp, and I'm having a bunch of conversations. It's so crazy because when I saw that Tristan Bickman, who was the initial doctor that I found, who had the best bedside manner ever, when I saw she wrote a book with Kelly Rowland and she was local at UCLA, I was so interested because if you take the time to write a book with a Black woman, then that means that you are seeking out Black women. You're saying, hey, I care. I am making an effort to show that there's better options and more information out there. So that was important to me. She showed her alliance very quickly, very early for me. And then when I saw her, she was amazing. So yes, references and talk to people. And I know that the person who did my surgery, and I won't say who this is, but another friend of ours that I'm sure you guys all know, ends up going to get surgery from the same doctor, because as soon as I had my surgery and he was amazing, I started telling everybody I know, hey, I heard you have fibroids, this doctor's amazing, check him out. Hey, you don't got no issues, but just in case you know somebody who does.
Yeah. Yes.
Information. And because that's what's important. We have to be proactive, not just with our own health, but with everyone else's health. I care. If Quinn did not take the time out to bring her and her daughter to my house to have wine, to have the talk with me, I would not be sitting here so able to still have children. Like, I'm still able to have the life that I wanted because you were transparent. Like, there she goes right there with a little baby. Yeah. So, and then you see Aria.
Say bye.
And surgery talk gave me hope. But at the same time we were talking, Aria was literally running around the house playing with my stepdaughter. And I was like, that's the proof, God, thank you. So that's why we have to be transparent, is because we need each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
Quinn, what is your approach now to your health and dealing with healthcare providers?
Yeah, so at this point, I'm all for taking people's references and recommendations. I recently just got really good insurance because I just started booking shows and stuff. And that made a huge difference. Like, it is like night and day. Being, oh my gosh, being on Medi-Cal, and just because when you're on Medi-Cal, they switch up your doctors every visit. So I couldn't even see the same doctor when I really wanted to. You know, you get comfortable, or you start to like somebody, and then they're like, well, you're gonna go see someone. I'm like, well, what about doctor? And they're like, you're gonna go over here. And I'm like, great. So you could never get comfortable. Now I actually have the opportunity to look up these people. I can see the same doctor repeatedly, but I've also made it a point that, and this is no shade to any other doctors, but I want a Black female gynecologist, period. Like, period. So I signed, unbeknownst to me, I signed up with a Black gynecologist, right? Because all you see is the name in the booklet when you're signing up, when you're looking up your providers, right? So
Quinn, really quick, move the mic from your hair.
Oh, sorry. There we go. So I had picked a Black doctor, right? So when I got to the office, they said that she was busy, then they wanted me to see another doctor. So I go and see the other doctor. It's a white doctor, no problem. She's sweet, fine, check me out, fine. I go into the lobby and I see all of these pictures of all of these babies on the wall, and I see the doctor holding the babies. It's the Black doctor. And I'm like, that was supposed to be my original doctor. So I went to the office and I made them switch me back over. And, you know, that's just going to make me feel comfortable based on everything that I've gone through, based on everything that I've been through. All of the doctors that denied me, with the exception of the one doctor who said, I know what that is, and we're going to help you out. Okay, hold on, babe. I'm on the phone. Yeah, we're gonna go. Okay, just give me a second. Sorry about that, you guys.
It's mommy confessions for a reason.
It's for real, right?
Ray keeps coming in and out the room, so I keep being like.
But you know, I know me. I'm gonna feel more comfortable at this juncture with everything I've been through, and with all the denials that I've gone through, and with all the pushing aside that has happened to me now. And what I want for my daughter, I'm gonna go with someone who looks like me and feel comfortable. That's just where I'm at right now.
That's hard.
Okay.
Especially for that part of my body.
Need her name. Everybody needs her name, because you know you can find a great doctor, but it's just something about a Black woman who just cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just know that at least you guys are starting from the same understanding.
Yeah.
Core understanding. Even if your values are different in areas, even if your upbringing or education or lifestyles are different, it's just something about being a Black woman that you just get when you're another woman.
Yeah. D, what about yourself?
Now, same as y'all, except totally different. Because my current OBGYN is definitely a white male.
Okay, no shade.
Yeah,
she's like, same, but
we need allies. We need allies.
So when I initially got assigned or was able to get him as my doctor, I don't remember if we even had insurance. I want to say, like, we either didn't have insurance or we had whatever the state insurance was. Like, we had very few choices. And I saw that this doctor had so many, like, 5-star reviews, and all these women just really, really loved him. And the women were all different colors who were, who had their little reviews up. And so I was like, all right, well, let's just check him out. And he was fantastic, to the point that I've kept him. Now that I have better insurance, or real insurance, I don't know what that was. I can't even remember what it was. But now that my insurance gives me options, I've still stayed with him because he has shown that he takes the time to make sure I understand everything that's going on.
That's so important.
He does the job that he is supposed to be doing. And he asks me questions that I haven't necessarily thought about for myself because he knows he does his job very well. Now, what I do want, because I've been switching between primary care physicians.
Oh, I need a primary care physician too. That I've been looking for one.
Well, listen, if anybody has suggestions,
let me know, because I've been looking for one too. I've been actually looking for one for 2 years. I've jumped around, and I have good insurance now. I used to have terrible insurance too, but I've jumped around to 3 that I did not like. I definitely am looking for. I go to the urgent care. Literally is what I've been going to.
That's your primary care physician?
Yes. Until I can find a doctor I can trust, no.
Yeah. I don't have a primary care physician. I just be doing the SAG doctors. And they be like, do you want to see Dr. Such and Such again? I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But go ahead. What were you saying, Donora?
I went to a primary care physician, and I felt like I was just a check mark on a list for her for the day.
Yeah, me too. That's what I felt like.
And I was like, what is this? What am I doing? Like, I get better care when I go to CVS and ask the pharmacist some questions than I did. And you're supposed to be the one who I'm developing a relationship with so that I know that you know what my normal is.
Yeah, exactly.
Move down the line together. So I'm looking for that solid rock.
Yeah.
Be my everything.
Yeah, that's the primary care physician.
When you find them, let me know. If I find one, we'll let you.
Yes.
I know for me, my approach has been that this is a collaboration and not a sit down, you tell me. And I realize I don't like for people to think that they are an authority on me. You might be an authority on medicine, but you're not an authority on Angel.
Right.
Come on.
So I realize, I don't know at what age, that this is me, you know, and I know what they say. You Google anything, it's gonna lead you down a rabbit hole.
No.
But I fully take full-blown responsibility for me trying to know what's happening in my body and not fully depending on these doctors, because even good doctors can miss something.
Oh, for sure.
And at the end of the day, I will be the one that it gets the short end of the stick. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think a lot of times, because we have so much respect for the white coat, we have so much respect for the years that they've spent studying and perfecting their craft, that we give them all of the power. And I realize that does not serve me in my family in the best way. I've had to go, listen, I'll be wearing pediatricians out. I'll be like, I think you're wrong. Let's try again. This is not, I don't think you're correct. I looked this up. This
right.
Is not
Google said this is hand, foot, mouth.
Right.
Okay. This is not the measles.
Because there have been times they've been wrong. They've sent my child out of there with ringworm, and then he affected other people. And I said, I told you I thought this thing was ringworm on his head. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, I realize I have to do the same thing with my own. I mean, and it's especially, we think it's hard for Black women to take control of our health. Being married to a Black man who tries to be oblivious of any health issue, tries to just push through. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna die on me. Yep. We don't fix this. So I'm realizing that, think of your health. If I were giving someone a tip, think of your healthcare as a collaborative effort between you and your doctor, and not your doctor just giving you instructions and orders on how to go about your health, whether it be feminine health or overall health.
Absolutely, because you know your body better than anybody. Period. Right. Yeah. No one will ever be able to tell you anything about what's going on inside of you. You wake up with you every day and you go to bed with you every night. Mm-hmm. So we have to trust ourselves.
Yeah, they're just meant to treat the issue. That's what Western medicine is about, treating, not getting to the core of the issue. And that's what we really need for, a full body health. You need to know what's the core of the issue, treat the problem, not treat the problem, cure the problem, and not just treat the symptoms. Exactly.
Right. That's another thing. And then we'll close it out. and actually I was saying that I wanted to do a little bit of bonus footage, and that's what we'll talk about in the bonus footage, is the difference between a functional doctor and a traditional doctor, which is a little bit of what Simone was bringing up. Functional doctors are all about trying to get to the root of the problem, where regular medical doctors are there to treat symptoms. You're in pain, here's pain medication. You have a cyst, let's remove it. You have a fibroid, let's remove it. Not how did it get here?
Yeah.
So how can we stop it from coming back? What train did it come on so we can remove the tracks so that train can come back in? So we'll talk about that in the bonus footage. But I really hope that this episode just takes away any shame anyone has had with dealing with any type of medical issue. Again, my hope with Mommy Confessions when I started this show about 4.5 years ago was to have honest, transparent conversations to remove, I think shame comes from us hiding. So if we unhide, other people could be like, oh, let me, I'm not all about like just putting all your business out there, but some business needs to be put out there because we can't get better until we acknowledge, what we're going through. And there's a common thread between us all. So I want to thank the three of you individually, even though Quinn and Donora are both hosts. I never asked them to be hosts as a way to be like, now tell me all your business and I'll report.
Right.
So I want to thank them also for sharing a part of their journey that I know has been an emotional roller coaster for them. Absolutely. And Simone, while me and you don't talk all the time, you were still willing to be like, yeah, girl, I'll do it.
You're my girl though. Listen, we grown, life is busy, mothers and taking care of following dreams and all that stuff. It's a lot. We love each other. We know that. You know I love you. I know you love me.
I know you, girl. I do. So before I close out, I want to make sure everybody knows where they can follow all of the beautiful women on here. We'll start with our lovely guest, Simone Shepherd. Where can they find you? And is there any projects that you're working? I mean, Simone's always working on projects. Let me just be clear. But there are any other projects that you're promoting currently that people can go to?
Listen, you can find me at Simone Shepherd on every platform, and you spell shepherd like herding sheep from the Bible, shepherd. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm working, I have a couple of writing projects. I'm working with Marsden Martin at Genius Productions. We have some projects in development that I'm super excited about. As soon as COVID we figure all this out, we'll definitely be able to give you more information because that really put everything on hold. But so that I'm a writer and I am super excited about all the projects that I'm working on, but I'm really, really, really excited to be on this journey to this feminine healthcare journey. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know if it's me creating a platform, but I do know that I want a space for Black women to be able to have forums like this, to start conversations, because it's not just about fibroids, it's about your holistic health. I want to have incredible Black doctors. I have a holistic doctor that I've actually just started working with. I did live with her, and it's on my page, Isosa. She's amazing. She actually approaches health from a very holistic approach. Is how she does her medicine. And I just want to be able to share information. So I am diligently working on products and platforms and all these things, a bunch of different approach to be able to do just like this and do it more often,
Beautiful, beautiful. Quinn, where can they find you?
Y'all can find me at Quinn Walters, like Barbara Walters with an S, on my platforms, you guys. I'm working on a documentary still. That's on hold right now because of quarantine, but I'm still not giving up on that. And it feels like it's going to take a turn. since we have so much going on right now in the world. So I feel like there are going to be different elements that I can incorporate into it. So I'm working on that. Got my entrepreneurship game going as well. So y'all are going to see some new stuff coming from your girl. And, you know, just being thankful that I am here and that I am healthy and that I am well and I'm better. And I love you ladies for opening up this conversation like this. It's so important. It's embarrassing. It can be at times, but it's so necessary. So got a lot of joy right now.
When you know you're not alone. So that's what we got to do.
Exactly. That takes it away. So thank you.
Thank you. Donora, tell them where they can find you.
You guys can find me at Donora Walcott, DinoraWalcott.
Get them.
Spell it all wrong, but you know, a little head shake for you. Help you spell it out.
Silly.
Donora TV on YouTube, but mostly go to Instagram and Facebook. That's where you'll find me most of the time. Projects, editing some work right now, writing more. You'll see some things coming out, but mostly I'm raising these 2 babies, and that's a lot. I'm not sleeping a whole lot, guys. So I'm coffee this whole time.
Oh, but you look great. You look like been sleeping well.
It's flawless.
Okay. I am not mad. You all can find me at That Chick Angel across every single platform. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts and everywhere podcasts are found. It's also on Facebook at That Chick Angel Mommy Confessions and on YouTube at That Chick Angel TV. We upload a new episode every single Thursday, and it's just a good ride. Every episode is so good, so make sure you're checking it out. And for those of you all who are a part of That Chick Angel's Patreon, we'll be doing some bonus footage here soon. And if you're not a member, you can join my Patreon at patreon.com, That Chick Angel, for the low of $5. $5. That's it. That's 16 cents a day. It's $5 a month, 16 cents a day. And you get amazing content. So, you know, I don't know what's taking you so long. But again, please make sure that you are following this podcast and that you're getting the notifications so that you're not missing any of these great episodes. Again, I want to thank our amazing guest, Miss Simone.
Lady. Thank you, Simone.
Don't worry, I'm gonna have me a baby. I'm gonna get in the mommy crew.
Yes, we can be ready.
You already here.
Yes, I know. I got my step baby, and she is my baby.
You got a good old bonus baby. You already a mama.
Right.
My baby.
You already a mama.
Yes.
Thank you guys. That means a lot. It really does.
Oh, of course, girl. Yes. She's been in this homeschooling struggle. This
right.
That wasn't your hazing period. I don't know what is.
Listen, I have been in her life since she's 1.5, so I've been through the diapers, the whole thing.
Listen,
yes.
Come on, you right on here with us. This is
Mommy Confession.
That's it.
Mama Simone. All right, you guys, y'all be blessed, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.